Hey guys, it's Megan. Welcome back to my channel. So in my last video, I talked about physician-assisted suicide, and one of you guys commented, doesn't the church believe in human dignity? If a person is suffering and can't function because of a disease and wants to die before that happens, shouldn't the church be compassionate and let them? That's a great question. Let's dive right into it. So I want to start off by saying a quote from the Bible. Genesis 1:27 says, "So God created mankind in his own image. In the image of God, he created them. Male and female, he created them." Right in the Bible, it says that God created male and female in his image. The very fact that he made us in his image proves that we have human dignity. Let's just pretend, no matter what your religion is, pretend that God is all-powerful. Pretend that he is perfect. How much of an honor would it be to be created after him? So to be created in the image of perfection. God is love, God is perfection. To be created in the image of perfection and love proves that we have dignity. So the reason that we have human dignity is because we are loved by God. In the Catechism, paragraph 27 says, "The dignity of man rests above all on the fact that he is called to communion with God. If man exists, it is because God has created him through love." That last part is the most important part. If man exists, it is because God has created him through love. That right there means that the only criteria, the only thing that you have to have been created through love is to exist. So now we know that we were created in God's image because we have human dignity. And why we have that dignity is because we are loved by God. But when do we have that dignity? The answer is always. Because God's love can never be taken away, our dignity can never be taken away. The book Life Issues and Medical Choices says, "If we are to secure equal rights for all human persons, the basis for rights must be something shared equally by all human persons. For example, human nature. Some human beings cannot think rationally, for instance, the severely mentally handicapped, and some human beings, like those in surgery under anesthesia, cannot consciously sense the world around them. They do not thereby lose their dignity. These human beings still possess a human nature, ordered to rationality, although it cannot be fully manifested because some physical defect or malady, whether permanent or temporary." So let's break this quote down. If we were to set a foundation on which equal rights would be given, what would the foundation be? It would have to be something that every single person has in common, and the only answer would be human nature. Now, this is where it gets a bit tricky. We can say that we'll give these rights to everybody who is a person, but that's not always true. Let's take the phrase, "he wants to die with dignity," into play. That phrase assumes that you can die without dignity. But from earlier in the video, we already know that that's not true, that our dignity can never be taken away. But it's a very common phrase. So where are we drawing a line for dignity? Many people can argue that we can draw the line when people can't do anything for themselves, when they're in the hospital bed and they can't move because of an accident or a disease. But let's take babies into play. They can't feed themselves, change themselves, go to the bathroom like you and I do. So do they not have dignity anymore? Of course not, because they're babies. What makes them different from somebody in a hospital bed who can't do those things either? Why does the sick person suddenly not have dignity, but the baby does? So now let's tie in your question. Doesn't the church believe in human dignity? If a person is suffering or can't function because of a disease and wants to die before that happens, shouldn't the church be compassionate and let them? Well, now that we know from the beginning of the video, these people who are sick in the hospital, they still have dignity because you can't take that away. Let's go back to the baby example. Compare this person in your comment to a child. There's not that much of a difference, but we still say that the child has dignity. So, in your comment, why wouldn't we say that they have dignity too? The comment is implying that they no longer have their dignity, so they should just die. But we know that that's not true. At every single stage of somebody's life, they have dignity. This comment now brings us into humanism. Jacques Maritain, in his book True Humanism, defines it as, "Humanism essentially tends to render man more truly human, and to make his original greatness manifest by causing him to participate in all that can enrich him in nature and in history." Maritain then goes on to say that modern humanism has been shaped by Christianity. He says, "In observing the contemporary forms of Western humanism, it is easy to see that if a residue still subsists in common of the concepts of human dignity, of freedom, of disinterested values, this residue is a heritage of ideas and of sentiments, which once were Christian and are now no longer so." With this, Maritain is saying that humanism used to have Christian ideals, but no longer has any. Maritain suggests that humanism says that the temporal side of things are good. But we can't just look at the temporal side of things. So, he says that integral humanism suggests that we exist here and up there. That we are not only physical beings, but that we also have a soul, and this soul allows us to have dignity. Humanism in its most extreme form can be seen as utilitarianism. This is the idea that you are only useful if you can contribute to society. Utilitarianism is seen all over the world in varying amounts. We can readily see it in working class America. Employers are likely to hire somebody who can do more for their company. Which employee is going to bring in more money for them? That is the one they are going to hire. We can even see this practice in higher education. Let's take a law degree and an art degree. If somebody tells you that they have an art degree versus if somebody tells you that they have a law degree, who are you going to be more likely to initially respect? Probably the lawyer. This is because, as a society, we put such a heavy emphasis on what other people can do for us. If somebody can't do as much as somebody else, we often see them as incompetent, and we're likely to gravitate towards people who can do more. This is where humanism gets dangerous, because now we are making ourselves believe that people are not equal to each other, which we know is not true because of our earlier quote from Life Issues and Medical Choices. The quote gave everybody equal rights because of their human nature. But now humanism is reversing that, saying that not everybody is equal, and their worth is based on how much they can contribute to society. Now, Maritain's idea of integral humanism says that we exist both here and up there, meaning that our bodies are both physical and spiritual. This aligns with the fact that everybody has a soul and is therefore equal and has dignity. So, to answer your question, yes, you are right. The church does believe in human dignity, and that is exactly why they are being so compassionate and not letting them take their own life. Because every life is dignified, and every life has worth. Alright guys, that is all I have for you for this week. As always, my sources will be at the end of this video, so that way you can check them out for yourself. If you agree or disagree with anything that I said, leave it in the comments and I will respond to it in the next video. Goodbye guys.